back, everyone. Today we're looking into something that might seem like a no-brainer for daycare owners on a tight budget. Buying used soft play equipment? Sounds smart, right? Save some money, get the same stuff. But here's the twist. Those savings can disappear fast. Our guest today has seen this play out more times than you'd think.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's one of those situations where the upfront price looks amazing, but the hidden costs, they add up quick. I actually worked with a daycare director last year who bought a used foam climber set. Looked great in photos. 2 months in, they're dealing with compressed foam, loose seams, and parents asking questions.
So the problem isn't always visible right away?
Exactly. Used soft play can hide internal damage. The foam might be compressed, frames can be loose, seams start to weaken. That makes pieces unstable and increases the risk of falls or kids hitting hard edges. You can't always see it until it's in use.
And I imagine that's where liability becomes a real concern.
Definitely. Older equipment might have been built to outdated safety standards or, get this, it could even be a recalled design. If a child gets injured on defective equipment, you can still face a lawsuit, even if you bought it secondhand. Daycare owners can be held liable for injuries if they fail to adequately inspect or repair playground equipment.
Wow, that's a huge risk, and the issues go beyond structure, right? There's also the materials themselves.
Right. Legacy play pieces might use materials that aren't considered safe anymore. Certain wood preservatives, possible lead-based coatings, or older plastics. Even if the surface looks fine, those materials can be red flags for parents and inspectors who expect modern, low-toxicity construction.
So you're saving money up front, but you might be setting yourself up for problems down the line. What about warranties?
Here's the kicker. Most commercial playground and soft play warranties are non-transferable. When you buy used, you lose all coverage for breakdowns, failures, or premature wear. Any repair or replacement part becomes 100% out-of-pocket expense. One major repair can completely erase the savings you thought you were getting. I mean, you think you're ahead, then one broken piece wipes out everything.
So what looked like a bargain turns into a money pit.
Exactly. And then there's maintenance. Foam and covers that have been used for years are much harder to sanitize thoroughly. Microscopic cracks, seams, and worn areas can trap moisture and germs, even after surface cleaning. If the vinyl cover has even a tiny tear, bacteria or mold can seep into the core. That's a nightmare for health inspections.
Right, because you can scrub the outside all day, but if something's trapped inside the foam, you're out of luck.
Precisely. It becomes this invisible hazard that you can't fix without replacing the whole thing.
That's tough. So to everyone listening, if you're in charge of a daycare or preschool, have you ever thought about what you'd do if your equipment failed an inspection? That point about invisible hazards sets up our next topic, documentation and compliance. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
At Little People's Cove, we believe the play environment matters, especially in busy daycare centers. We specialize in commercial-grade soft play equipment designed for daycares, preschools, and early learning environments. From foam climbers and crawl structures to safe tumbling and balance elements, our solutions encourage gross motor development, imaginative play, and social interaction, all while maintaining a safe, cushioned environment. Transform your indoor play space into a vibrant, developmentally supportive area that keeps children moving, learning, and engaged. Learn more at www.littlepeoplescove.com.
Picking up on those invisible hazards, how do you handle the documentation side when regulators or insurers start asking questions?
That's a huge one. Used equipment often arrives without installation manuals, certificates, or compliance documentation. It's really hard to prove to licensors and insurers that your setup meets current standards when you don't have that paperwork. And if you can't demonstrate compliance, you're risking your license.
So even if the equipment looks okay, the lack of documentation can sink you.
Absolutely. And here's something else. If the equipment looks dated, faded, or poorly assembled, parents notice. They start questioning the overall quality and safety of your facility. That can hurt enrollment and make your space harder to market, especially when you're showing photos or giving tours.
Reputation is everything in this industry. You can't afford to look like you're cutting corners.
Exactly. And, the thing is, even if you think you're being savvy by buying used, the total cost of ownership often makes new equipment more economical over time. When you factor in maintenance, repairs, and lifespan, those upfront savings just don't hold up.
I see, interesting.
New equipment comes with warranties, documentation, and peace of mind. You know it meets current safety standards, it's easier to clean, and you're not inheriting someone else's problems. Plus, if something does go wrong, you're covered. With used gear, you're on your own. And, honestly, trying to explain to a parent why their kid got hurt on equipment you can't even prove is safe? That's a conversation nobody wants to have.
Yeah, that's the kind of phone call that keeps you up at night.
For sure. Commercial grade soft play is built to last, and when you invest in new, you're investing in the safety and development of the kids in your care. It supports gross motor skills, imaginative play, and social interaction, all in a safe, cushioned environment. That's what parents are looking for.
Well, this has been eye opening. I think a lot of daycare owners are going to rethink that used equipment listing they were eyeing. Any final thoughts?
Just this. Buying used might seem like a budget win, but the hidden costs, safety, cleaning, repairs, inspections, and lost trust can easily outweigh any upfront savings. In other words, what looks like a smart financial move can actually cost you more in the long run. Do your homework and don't compromise on safety. The kids and your business deserve better.
Couldn't have said it better. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.